This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Ira. Good morning to you, sir. How are you doing?
I was actually hustling. That's why I'm a couple of minutes late here because, as always, Giannis jumps back into the scene again. And this time it's sort of undeniable that there actually could be smoke where there's fire. I don't know if there'll be heat smoke where there's fire. But the thing is, if he wants out of Milwaukee, we know he's always been enticed by Miami. We know he's close with Bam Adebayo. We know they share the same agent. So you know what, Big O? Okay. Before the wisecracks and everything else from you, let's just get this back to the most basic of points. If Giannis Antetokounmpo is available, don't the Miami Heat have a fiduciary right to at least explore?
Oh, they can explore everyone they want, dude. I'm just telling you, they're not going to end up with them. And in the end, because they're in such a weak state, they're very New York Knick-like. They're going to end up in a mellow deal. If let's say by some miracle they accept whatever package Miami is going to hand them, it's pretty much everything that they have. And then he comes here and there's nothing to surround him to end his career, which ends in a disaster. And all this is going to be more freaking hopium from you, from Barry Jackson, from Chang, from Reynolds, from 5 Reasons. All you people, because you're writing basketball, you got to give them hope. Bro, they got no chance. They got no. I saw a president of basketball operations who's in love with Tyler Hero, who actually thinks he should be extended or could, we've talked to him. It's cool.
Or who said the right things. 2 different things, Big O.
It better be the right things, dude.
He's smart enough to do that.
I'm not sure about that anymore, man.
No, Big O, wouldn't you agree you don't devalue your assets publicly, no matter what you think?
I get that.
Last year he didn't devalue Tyler last year when he spoke a year ago, when he told us basically you got to show up for work. No one was trading for Tyler Hero when he played 42 games. We knew that. So we issued the challenge that needed to be issued, and that worked. This time around, I think he very much appreciates what Tyler Hero did for him. But, Big O, I still think he would easily trade Tyler Hero if a better deal became available in a millisecond. That's the difference. He said the right things about his assets. And you know what? He only spoke about 2 players when he spoke last Friday, which is interesting. He only mentioned the names of Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. So
the only real tradable players.
Yes. So to your perspective, you're right. It's not like he did a whole sell-a-thon there. It's not like he told us, Nikola Jovic one day will be a great versatile Dirk Nowitzki. Jaime Jaquez Jr. will be the next this or that. He was very candid with all that. But as long as there are possibilities out there, again, I just posted my story at sunsentinel.com because I have a responsibility to say what's going on, to offer the perspective. In my story, I wrote, the only reason, besides no taxes, and it's really nice to live here, that Giannis would want to play in Miami is because of Bam Adebayo. So anyone who's throwing out this utter sort of speculation just to get something out there, no. Bam is not going to Milwaukee for Giannis, just like you said, Big O, because Giannis doesn't want to come here if Bam is not here. But anyone else and everyone else, I think you would agree, should be on the table. We're not saying Big O and Ira Winderman, the accurate Pembroke Pines report, are not saying it's enough to get it done. But Big O, you would agree, if you were Riley and you had this opportunity, you would push all of your chips to the middle of the table beyond Bam, wouldn't you?
I would. Yeah, definitely. But again, Bam,
you don't have enough chips.
Yeah, this is all fairy tales that we're all talking about. You have no chips in order to play the real poker, in order to get real stars like you used to be able to bring here. And really, the only there's 2 directions you can go. You're not getting the star, so you can forget it. Door number 1, you can forget about Giannis and any other star that becomes available, because unless it's like Zion or something, you're not going to have to pay much for that slop. Right. But outside of that, everybody else, you're pretty much out of it as it is. So for me, there's 2 roads.
Okay.
You go by the same one that you're at now, and you stay with Bam and Tyler and try to build around them and try to get the third star, or if the Durant stuff, right? You're not going to win shit that way either. You're done. The best way, the only road you should take,
Okay.
you can unload your 2 stars or so-called stars and get whatever amount of picks you can get from those guys and restart from the beginning. Reboot it all the way down. I know they don't want to do that. And so that's why, to me, there's a delusional road one way or the other. The one you think you can buy a star, or the one you think you can win with these 2 guys.
So when we spoke about it last week in our Accurate Pembroke Pines report, people who don't listen to the podcast, please make sure you grab that one. Lots of screaming and yelling. So here's my point. Okay, so let's go back to last week, because we always do. Orlando Alzugaray, basketball savant. How many years, if you tear it down to the bottom, do you think a team in general would have to go through with 15, 18, 22, 25 wins? Just give me your rough estimate. How many years do you think it would take?
3 to 5 years.
Okay. I think closer to the 5 years, based on the model of Cleveland, based on the model of Oklahoma City, based on those models. I just don't know if the stomach is there to endure that in this market, because we are a different kind of market who's been let down by our Dolphins, who were let down 20 years by our Panthers. It took forever to build that back. Big O, I love what's going on now. I know they're going to win this series against Toronto. I see another path to the Stanley Cup final. It's awesome. What people are forgetting, before Barkov and before Ekblad, and even during for a while, there were 20 god-awful years where just getting to the playoffs and making a series was the be-all, end-all. I'm saying
Bubba, you didn't have the owner you have now, and you didn't have the GM you have now. And the GM you have now is in the moment. The GM we have in Miami is not in the moment. And that's the problem, Bubba.
I think he is in the moment, maybe too much in the moment. I think you're contradicting yourself. I think.
Okay. I like that. All right. Correct. I like that. I think
the problem is
what I mean by in the moment is the GM of the Panthers understands the landscape and how to attack it. The GM of the Heat is stuck in a rut somewhere, and he doesn't really have a good feel how to get out of this rut. He wants to keep staying on let's go back to last week's show, the hamster wheel. Oh, let's go search for a star we can't afford.
Right.
Or probably doesn't want to come here. Oh, well, no, let's stay with what we have, status quo, because we can sell to fans that we're at least a playoff team or barely. Please buy our tickets. And we're not willing to take the 8 steps back to become more of an expansion team again, unfortunately, because our fans will abandon us. Well, dude, this is where a billionaire says, I got to bite the bullet because I got to do what's best for the long term of this franchise. We need to reset, because where we're at, we're never going to get to a championship again.
Well, Big O, I would say this. Do you believe that history matters for a team going forward, what it did before? Does the past possibly reflect what the future could be? And here, you know where I'm going with this.
No, you don't. No, you don't, because you didn't listen to my first segment. And being born in 66 in Belglade, Florida, and raised in Miami my entire life, I have realized that I am such a gifted and blessed human being in sports here. Why? Because I lived the Dolphins when I was 7 and 8 years old, and I watched them. Were they ever like that again? Never. I lived the Hurricanes from 83 to 91. I watched it all. They won 4 titles in such a short time. Yeah, they won one in 2001, but the 4-title run in such a short time. Amazing. Did I ever see that again? No, that's history. History, to determine the future. Then I lived the Marlins, and Dabrowski came here with Huizinga, and he built both World Series teams. The 97, and in the fire sale, he got pretty much 90%, 92% of the team that won the 03. Did that ever return again? No, it did not. The Miami Heat from 06 to 13 won 3 titles, and they had mega superstars leading the team constantly. Have they returned to that? Nope.
Two
So that's
finals.
what my first segment. That's what my first segment was about.
Two finals. But I'm saying the Heat have
Panthers-
done.
Wait a minute. The Panthers are on the brink of possibly going to a third Stanley Cup. And what I told everybody here on this platform, embrace it, make love to it, kiss it, enjoy it, but take part in as much as you can, because it'll never happen again, my brother. Because that's the history.
And I see Heat history. Remember how Pat Riley spoke on Friday about the different incarnations of his team? He spoke about 13 rebuilds.
Yeah.
If you live the Heat, you saw rebuild one. Now, again, Big O, you and I might be different here. I think we've aligned over the years as we've gotten older that it's not just about championships, that the Panthers' run to the finals against Vegas 2 years ago was a hell of a run also.
It's 6 years of this building.
Even if it wasn't a title. So my point being this, Pat Riley has done this with the Zoe and Hardaway build. Didn't get to the finals, but my God, you lived it.
Well, no, but we were cock-blocked by Michael.
Okay, right. But that was a hell of a Heat period, right? That was a hell of a run with the Knicks in the fights. Okay, had that.
They would have won a title if Michael wasn't there. Okay. So, they steal at least one of those titles.
So that's one. That's one. Then they go out, and no one really thought you can get Shaq, except he was having his issues with Kobe. I remember being in Summer League in Orlando. Stan Van Gundy was there with me. Even he didn't think it would happen. That happened. They had the Shaq year. They had the run to the 2006 title. Very brief, sort of Marlins-like with Walker and
actually, bad luck. 05, they should have won. If it wasn't for the Shaq or Wade injury, they hand Detroit their ass. And they give San Antonio a run because Shaq was playing out of – that was the real Shaq.
Okay, so that's two rebuilds. Then you have the big three, which is undeniable, one of the greatest sporting periods in sports outside of Michael Jordan's run. That's three. I'm going to contend, and I know you're not going to agree with this, but even the run with Goran Dragic, while not to the ultimate top scale, I remember them being in Toronto, one victory away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron and the Cavs. That was a pretty nice run, what Goran re-injected. Not the ultimate run, I get that, but an enjoyable time. Then Jimmy Butler, and don't discount the two.
It's the Dolphins in the 80s. The Heat are the Dolphins in the 80s right now.
Okay. And then don't discount the two Butler runs to the finals because the Dolphins weren't in the Super Bowl and the NBA Finals.
Yes, they were. 82-85.
Okay, I'm talking about more recently.
The Dolphins in the 80s right now, where they gave entertainment, where they got to a finals they didn't belong in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, and the bubble one, that was so freakish, everything that went on.
And you can minimize anything all you want. All I'm saying is, Pat Riley, to me, gave us 5 legitimate rebuilds, not 2, like the Marlins, not 1, like we're enduring right now with the Panthers, and God bless them, not 0, like the Dolphins since they were in the Super Bowl against the 49ers, I think when Joe Rose was catching passes.
No, it's the 70s. That doesn't even count.
So what I'm saying is
that Joe Rose team, we saw that they didn't even belong anywhere on the field with San Francisco.
I don't know if you still have your sound effect, but I have been following Orlando Alzugaray's career for 3 decades. And I remember Orlando Alzugary's one of his themes over all these shows and all these venues, from soccer stadiums to 940 to 560 to the other end of the dial. I couldn't even find him because half the time they were broadcasting in Spanish. But he always spoke of blind-ass fans and how...
Blind-ass fan alert. Look out, everyone. We've got a blind-ass fan coming through.
And God bless you, Sean, for still keeping that on the board somewhere. So my point being this, I think of all the teams in town, the Heat deserve the benefit of the doubt because they've done it most often. So while you're saying that we're selling something with Giannis, I'm not disagreeing. And I tried to temper it in the story I wrote. While you're saying Durant's not enough, I'm not disagreeing. He gets you to 4 or 5, but I'm all of a sudden noticing that getting to 4 or 5, the Indiana Pacers are pretty damn well positioned to do some damage in the East. So what I'm saying is you never know. What you talk about is a puncher's chance. You give yourself a puncher's chance. They are doing that for themselves this year. So all I'm saying is this. Yes, this summer we are going to be teased. We are getting some of the hopium, that I like to sit back every now and then, in my air pipe and enjoy that a little bit. I get that also. But if there's anyone I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the possibility, it remains Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg and Adam Simon and their scouting staff. Now, does Mickey Arison, Nick Arison want to take the possible financial risks? Because I'm telling you, Big O, if you get Giannis and you have Bam and you keep maybe one of your younger players, if you're willing to spend into the tax and the repeater tax and the luxury tax and the third apron and the 20th apron, there is a way. Money does find a way in the NBA.
They're going to need to find 77 3-point shooters, because if your team is led by Giannis and Bam, you now have two guys on the
Duncan
field.
Robinson might not ever be more valuable. Alec Burks might be the man. But what I'm saying is, the one thing Pat has shown me is when you get your big three, he finds a Shane Battier, a Mike Miller, a Chris Birdman Anderson, a Ray Allen. He's very good at augmenting the good. I don't know how good he is at augmenting the not so good when you get James Johnson and Deion Waiters and Wade Ellington and Kelly Olynyk, and I get all that. All I'm saying is this, is I still believe, matter of fact, I'll ask you this question on our Accurate Pembroke Pines report. Do you believe, Big O, there's a statute of limitations when it comes to optimism, when it comes to Pat Riley and his ability to create, to restructure, to create another build? Do you think his time has run out, like Dave Hyde asked when he asked him about being 80 years old?
Yeah, it's in the process, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yes, it's in the process, unfortunately. Again, I don't want him to get fired or leave or anything. I want him to do it on his own.
Okay.
But right now, I completely and have been disagreeing with the way they have built this team the last few years.
Okay.
You know, from the last, I see the difference is when I look at that last championship run, I look at it for what it is. You're a bunch of old overachievers, bro. Right there and then you had to get rid of Butler and get a bunch of picks and start to reload, and they're not willing to do those things. And if you weren't willing to do it at that moment, it takes a lot of balls to come off a championship run and trade your best player for 4 or 5 first rounders, but it would have really set you up. And by now, we probably would have been seeing the fruits of the labor from that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. And all I'm seeing is what I told you. They're going down the same path and they continue to fail. And when I look at Giannis, it's like you're not getting anywhere with this guy. His best years are past him. You're about to get the last of his good and then the rest of his bad from here on out, and you're going to pay a lot of money for it. Why are you doing that? You're going to go after Durant, who's 36 years old and can make you a mid-tier playoff team.
Can make you the Pacers.
I think the Pacers are deeper and tougher than Miami.
Now, when you look at the roster construction, you can make an argument that with the Miles Turner and the Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, you can get something close to that. So again, we're talking puncher's chance. I would rather never go in just with a puncher's chance. I'd rather go in with a dynamic, kick-ass, all-around, 4-line deep like the Panthers. I agree.
Hardaway Zoe wasn't a puncher's chance, and Shaq and Wade was not a puncher's chance.
Jimmy was.
Is not
and playoff Jimmy got it done. So what I'm saying is there are multiple ways to do this. You do not have to agree. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean I'm right. I think there's a middle ground there also. But I just want to say this. And this is not shilling, because everyone knows I don't chill for the Heat, and I'll probably hear from them every time I'm on the goddamn Accurate Pembroke Pines report. And a matter of fact, guys, instead of contacting me after this, go buy some Accurates down there in Pembroke Pines. I heard they're running a hell of a deal right now. So, got to push product, Big O. So, what I would say is this, is that when you
got the China deal, bro. Let's go.
Quick. Buy them. You're getting your parts at face value. So, what I would say is this. I still believe there are people there who deserve a certain benefit of the doubt for what they've done, being 2 years removed from the NBA Finals. And I think this league, as much as any league shows, if you can position yourself better, not to be exhausted after the play-in when you play the Cavaliers and you're on every last breath, but like the Pacers, when you get to the first round directly, when you get through an injury hurt team like the Bucks directly, and you have something left like the Heat did in those playoff runs, you can be different. I still think there is a pathway for this Heat build without going to the very bottom, because Big O, I've lived at the very bottom. I roomed with Michael Beasley. It's not a great place to be.
I get it, Ira, but guess what? We're a shit fan base. if we can't
He
deal with
said it.
this team,
He said it. Guy over there, Big O show. Don't
yeah,
buy
you
his
damn
cars.
right. We're a shit fan base if we can't support the Heat for the next 3-5 years where they're going through a rough
You're right.
one. We can do that. Dude, they give you 25 years of greatness, and then we're going to be complete dicks because they got to do the smart thing, the right thing? No, dude. Let's support that. That's
fine. That's fine. Matter of fact, I think they should issue rally towels that say "Don't be a dick," and we'll waive those for 5 years.
They should, because
Hey, if I get a free towel,
I mean, it's like, I don't know how somebody gives you all these presents for 25 years, and then all of a sudden they got to go through a rough patch. Hey, we lost our job. It's mom and dad here. We're kind of struggling. We're taking some checks from the government. Kids, we won't have $30 for you. We only have one for you to, is the kid supposed to dump his parents? Like, you've gone through, I ran a supermarket with my dad once, right? And he had another business on the side. Okay. The other business was going up. I owned the Corvette. He needed the money. Guess what I did? Take the Vet, go sell it. Sold the Vet because he needed the money. I was driving around an Oldsmobile 98 for the next year.
Nice.
Am I going to call my dad a dick and say, oh man, you took me from an 87 Vet to like a 79, 98 or something? And by the way, it was a gas guzzler too. That shit was a boat. Funniest part, somebody stole it one day. Anyway, you got to be loyal. And that's my point. Yeah, you're not going to sell as many tickets, but dude, if you're a Heat fan, you have to appreciate where you've been, because very few franchises have done this for 25 years. And the Heat has to also say that message at the same time. Hey, we've given you excellence for 25 years. We have tried to stay on top of it. But in today's world and the finances and the way things are, we have to do things in a different fashion. And this is why we have to go in this direction. We hope you support.
And one other thing, just because we do have actual hardcore basketball fans listening here every week in the Accurate Pembroke Pines Report. Also, there is a needle you have to thread for this reason. You still owe Charlotte, unfortunately, from the worst trade ever for Terry Rozier, a future first-round pick.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes, so you can't, but still, you know what? Even like Pat said with Jimmy and other stuff, you can't go back. You can't go back. Big O, you can't go back. You can't go back to terrestrial radio. You can't go back to cash currency. You can't go back. Same thing with the Heat. You can't go back. So you still have to thread the needle in 27 or 28 when that pick's due to Charlotte, that you're not giving them a number 2 pick that you could have. So whether it's trading to get that pick back, to getting yourself other first-round picks, to cover yourself, it makes it all that much difficult. Yes, have there been sins of the past? Sure, there have been. We've seen that. The Rozier trade, the pushing back the pick owed to the Thunder so they can take care of Jaquez and Jovic and get those players in those years. Yes, have they mortgaged their future? Yes, to a degree. So you're also working within those parameters to just keep that in perspective also.
I get that, but it doesn't help that you keep trying to put a Band-Aid or lipstick on a pig when you need to just tear the Band-Aid out and just tear the scab off.
I agree. You've made sins of the past. You can't have sins of the future. I agree with that.
And that's what they keep doing. They keep piling on another sin. Durant would be a sin. Believe it or not, Giannis will be a sin.
But Big O, not to the degree. You got a guy who's a top 3 MVP finalist
right now. But
you take
years, and you're going to get the back end, and you're going to get the bad one. And even if you get him, there's no guarantee you're a contender, bro.
No, the Bucks aren't a contender. So you're right. The Bucks had him. They won the one championship in 2021, I believe. And then that was it. And they went down. It's hard. It's like Bam said in his final interview. It's hard to win in this league. It is hard. Even for the Panthers, as great as they are, it's been hard against Toronto. It's not easy. So I'm of the thought, disagree with you a little, that if there is a moment to be seized, you at least consider it. You get everyone together. You decide whether to put up the puff of smoke for Giannis or not, for Durant or not. But you have to consider everything, and the short-term merits and the long-term merits. That's all I'm saying. And there will be a lot to consider, and there'll be a lot of reasons to continue to listen to the Accurate Pembroke Pines Report all summer.
I actually get excited more if you go tear it down and you get as many picks as possible, because I think they know how to draft now, and they do a much better job of it. And
Okay.
I can get excited with Spo working with a crap ton of young athletic guys that can run and fly around and shoot. I think Spo would work wonders. All right, quickly, 3 questions in the
Sure.
NBA. Pacers, Cavs. Pacers have taken complete control. Mitchell, obviously, with the ankle injury, that was brutal yesterday. Your thoughts on all of this?
The one-trick pony in the NBA of win or die on three-pointers. We've seen even the Celtics against the Knicks. You got to have something else in your arsenal. The Cavaliers were red hot on threes against the Heat. The Heat lose. But if you're a one-trick pony, your trick better be able to carry you through 2 months. It did for the Celtics last year in the playoffs. We're not so sure this year if it happens. There's got to be more than just one angle toward victory.
Are you buying Knicks here from here on out with the 2-1 lead and at home tonight?
No, I'm still buying Celtics because I believe they have more proven winners on their roster if everyone is healthy.
Well, the Warriors won the game they were going to win, and that's it. It's over because if Steph's not coming back,
Yeah.
really have a real number one, Ira.
No, Jimmy, for all those times, he didn't want to go somewhere where he was going to have to be the number 2 man to someone, and all the questions of he was never going to play along player X, Y, and Z. Jimmy's at the point of his career. He needs the alpha next to him. He doesn't have it, and it's obvious. All of that said, I'm never willing to bet my future on a team that counts on Julius Randle, so I wouldn't count the Warriors out just yet.
But by the way, he did everything.
Oh, he looked great. I just don't trust him.
Wait, he looked great, but in that last quarter, he made a shit ton of mistakes, actually.
It's Julius Randle. You know what? I think the saying is Randles are going to Randle. Yes.
That's true. That is very true. All right, what do you got going on the Sentinel?
Well, it's interesting because I'm glad you asked me on the way out what I'm doing the Sentinel. Actually, my Ask Ira today was, hey, if not one of the great free agents and shoot for the stars, you got to do what the Knicks did when they found Jalen Brunson, a guy who was a second-tier free agent, identify and elevate. Again, Jalen Brunson's on a contract that pays less than Tyler Hero. The Knicks fleeced the Mavericks that offseason. For all the talk of Doncic, being traded, losing Brunson was just as huge. So I think I agree with you, and it's hard for me to say, but I agree with you. You need the right free agent at the right price point, at the right age to move forward. Basically, for as much as I wrote about Giannis today, for as much as we've spoken about Durant or even Zion, it's a matter of getting the value player in today's apron and tax NBA. And God bless the Knicks. They did that with Jalen Brunson. That's what the Heat need to find next.
Oh, we were gifted with Zoe at such a young age, bro. That was so awesome. All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Ira, as always, appreciate you. We will catch up next week.
Appreciate it, and thank you, all you blind-ass fans out there.
You got it. There you go. Ira Winderman. And, of course, visit our friends at Acura of Pembroke Pines. The 17th anniversary sale is going on right now. And, by the way, the ZDX, they still have the 2024 models pre-tariff. Take advantage. The 2025 models, yeah, well, right now, the tariffs are lowered, so maybe, things will be all right. But 0% financing for 72 months. Get electrified. You get over 300 miles to the charge. It's a beautiful thing. Check out the fleet of certified pre-owned vehicles. They got a lot that is just absolutely loaded. And if you own or lease a vehicle, Mike Chan, Jordan Ferber, ready there for you in the service center, which is second to none. 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Finest dealership in the business, baby. It is Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.